Good evening, I'm Laura Lee. Thanks for joining us. It is official. Duluth City Council voted unanimously to approve the Lester Park land use study and put it into the city's comprehensive plan. But it didn't pass without debate from councilors after changes from the city's planning commission. Northern News Now's Ella Showbrow was at tonight's meeting. And Ella, what does this mean for the former golf course?
Yeah, Laura, based on those results of the land use study, Lester Park Golf Course will designate the northern 207 acres of the land as open natural space. Meanwhile, the lower 63 acres will be neighborhood mixed use for potential housing. Members of the public encouraged council to pass this, but were concerned about amendments made by the Planning Commission prior to tonight's vote.
Be clear, communicate with your constituents, and be consistent, and we can create more trust.
Duluthians spoke on Lester Park Golf Course Monday, many saying councilors should vote yes on the land use study to bring back public trust.
Passing these amendments shows that the council is actually listening to the public in this matter and taking their concerns seriously, which is not something that many of us have felt happened throughout this entire process.
The approval of the land use study will now amend the city's comprehensive plan, making 23% of Lester Park Golf Course mixed neighborhood use and keep the rest as green space.
I know we might all have different ideas for what a perfect Lester Park Golf Course future looks like. For some people, that doesn't look like any development. For others, it looked like more than what the land use study dictated. But I think the most defensible thing to do, and to honor my word from December, is to honor the results of that study.
The city's planning commission previously amended the resolution before sending it to council, leaving the door open for possible development of the 207 acres of green space, a move that blindsided residents.
The amendment discards any pretense of honoring the thousands of people who have sought to retain public's open space at the LPGC.
This led councilors Monday to make their own amendments, rejecting the Planning Commission's changes and solely passing the results of the land use study in hopes of keeping the green space green.
Go back to what we promised folks, is do the land use study and stand behind it. And we are doing that here tonight, and that was the intention of it.
Now the next steps for this project will be for the city to amend its agreement with the Duluth Economic Development Authority to reflect the results from the land use study and update the land designation and zoning before that land undergoes an environmental review process. Live in studio, Ella Showbrow, Northern News Now.